Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, the Sub-Saharan programmer here. In this video, we're going to do our first tutorial design, and then we're going to focus on the first activity that was actually displayed in the overview video. So let's get started. So as you can see here, I've already launched a project in Android Studio. I've named it HouseZika App. So I will walk you through, guys, to how you can actually create a project, and then we'll proceed, right? Well, let's do that. File, new. Now, what you do is, sorry, I went way too fast. You go to the file here, and then you go where it says new, and then you click new project. There. When you click, you expect a template area. So that's the template area. It tells you it actually suggests which project you want to actually work with. So we're going to choose phone and tablet, and then we're going to check the empty activity. This is the material 3. This is the recent type of design in the material design, and that is the Jetpack Compose, another form of designing. But we're going to stick to this one. So we're going to take the empty activity because I feel like it gives more room for design. So we click empty, then you click next, and then here you give the name of the application. Here you give the package name, and here you give where it's going to save, and there the language you're going to use, and here the minimum SDK where you want your application to run on, right? So you're going to name this HouseZika App. That's the package name, com.tele.HouseZika App. So that's where it saves. Now this is the language that's being used, so we're going to utilize Java, but you could also use Kotlin if you're comfortable with Kotlin. So we're going to stick with Java. And the minimum SDK here, it says API 21, so that's Android 5.0 Lollipop, right? You could actually pick better versions. You could actually pick the API 32, which is SV2 Android API 32, or you could actually pick lower ones, 16, that's like Jelly Bean, but we'll stick to API 21, right? So you click finish. So after you click finish, what will happen is that Android Studio will build your whole project and create you an application named as HouseZika App to that specific location. So when you want to find your application, you just go to that specific location. Now, since I've already created the project, you're going to wait a little bit for it to build and then start coding, right? So I'll cancel and go back to this activity. So this is what you expect after everything is done, after everything is built. You expect this layout, right? And this is going to be the startup, this is going to be the main activity, and this is going to be the activity main. This is where you design, and this is where you write your backend functionality, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the design. So this is where you put your design and everything, right? So we're going to design that first activity where we had a text that said HouseZika, and then we had 3 circles, and then we had a text down there that said double tap screen to start, and then we had another text that said slide down to minimize. So let's get started, all right? So this is the constraint layout. That's the parent view. So we're going to choose another view. So this is going to be the image view, and then this image view is going to be set on the whole parent. This is where we have the apartment now. So I'm going to say image view. We're going to match parent and match parent as well. So I'm going to close the tag here. I'm going to give it an ID. No, we won't give it an ID. We're going to keep it like that. But then we're going to put an image within it, right? So it's going to be source. Now, since I have this drawable area, right? This is the resources folder. This is where you have all your resources. Drawables are like images, whatever PNG files that you can actually use, SVG, JPEG, all of them. They're in the drawables area. And then there is the layouts. The layouts are the ones that I'm actually working with. This is the activity main.xml. Then you have meetmap files where you have the types of icons that will actually show up when you actually launching your application. The icon that you see when you're actually launching your application, those are like in the meetmap area. But you could actually utilize others in drawable, but you just need to make sure they actually follow the standard protocol of designing, right? So here's the values. So you have the colors, strings, you have the themes. That's the day theme and that's the night theme, and then you have the XML projects area, right? So we're going to go to the drawable area. So I already have this drawable here in JPEG format. So when I click, that's like the apartment that was in the background, right? So I'm going to post a link in the description. That's where you're going to get the image, right? You're going to get it from Unsplash. It's a free website for downloading images. So you're going to get the apartments from that area, right? But then I'll just need to show you how you could get an image inside Android Studio. So we're going to minimize this. Open the file where I actually saved the image. So it's downloads. So this is the actual image. So just Control C and go back to Android Studio and go to drawables. So Control V. So it'll actually prompt me asking me where I want to actually save that. So you can actually pick, say, drawable, then you click OK, then you actually give it the name, right? But since it's already there, I'm going to cancel, but you can change the naming. Make sure you don't have spaces, because Android Studio actually find that as an error. Or you have to make sure you name it something like maybe apartment or splash, whatever you want to actually call it. So that's the user who actually uploaded that, right? So I'm going to cancel that since we already have it. Then I'm going to go to activity main, right? So here where it says Android SRC, that's where we're going to get the image, right? So here we're just going to say add drawable. So it takes you straight to the drawables project area, and then you're going to select the image you want. So we're going to select apartment. So that will fix the apartment throughout the screen, right? So we're done with the image view. Now what we want to do is we want to get the text that said slide down to minimize window and the one that said double tap screen to start. So we're going to go down, we're going to click text view. So this is another view. Then we're going to wrap content. When you wrap the content, what will happen is that the view is going to be wrapped. It's not going to extend throughout the view, the parent view. Wait, let me show you. When we put this to match parent, what will happen is that the text view will actually extend. You can actually see it actually extended there. And here, if I put match parent again, it's going to extend throughout the whole view, right? So we don't want that. We're going to keep this in wrap content, and then we're also going to keep this in wrap content as well. So that's wrapped, right? So we're going to close this because it's not nesting anything. So you can actually see we have an sort of an error here, a red line, right? So it says this view is not constrained. It only has design time position. So it will jump to 0, at runtime unless you add the constraints. So what it's telling us is that, okay, this view, what will happen is that if we launch it without constraints, it's going to jump to some like weird position, right? So what we want to do is we want to constrain it. We want to limit it. We want to leave it to some specific area. So what we want to do is we're going to constrain this and to the end of the parent. So you see it actually goes to the right and constraint start. It goes to the left. After I put parent here, it goes to the left. It's on the center. So since this is the text that says slide down to minimize window, so we're going to put it on the center. So once I put constraint bottom, what will happen is that it's going to go straight to the center of the whole view. Sorry, I forgot one constraint. So it's going to be constraint top. Then it's going to be constrained on the center. So you can actually see it's literally on the center. So we have to give it the text value. So you just say text, then we're going to write what we want to write. So it's going to be slide down to minimize window, right? So that's the text. You can't actually see the text. That's because it's in the default color. So we have to change this. So it will be text color white. So now when we say white, the text will actually change color. But now it's really small. We can't actually see the text. So we're going to give this a sizing, text size 18 SP, right? So it's going to enlarge a little bit, and then we have to make this bold. So we have to say text size, text style, yes, text style, bold. So it's going to change to something bold, right? So it's bolder. You see now it says slide down to minimize window, right? So I'm going to go back and write the text value of the other one, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the same one, duplicate. You do that by pressing Control D on Windows. So let's proceed. Yeah, it says slide down to minimize window. This is exactly the same text, right? So if we give it an ID, this would have an issue, right? So we want this at the bottom of the text, right? So this is going to be double tap screen to start, double tap screen to start, right? Then you can actually see we have both of them because they have like the same positioning, so we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the constraint top here. Boom. Then the text will go down. That's what happens, right? So what we need to do is we have to give this the margin, right? So we want some spacing down there. What we'll do is we just write margin bottom, go there, click, and then we want, say, you can give it the dp's, specific dp's you want. So we're going to give this, say, 12 dp, right? So it says double tap screen to start, right? So I give it both, but to maintain the actual visual aspect we had in the previous video, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the bolding style, right? So we're going to remove that, and then we're also going to remove the bold style in this text as well. Remove. Then now we have text views 1 and 2, exactly how they were on the overview video. So we have 1, 2 done with the text, right? So now what we want to do is we want to bring a linear layout. So this linear layout is the one that you actually saw was purple after we transitioned from this activity to the next activity, right? So we're going to say linear layouts. So we're going to match the parent, and then we're going to match the parent as well, and then we're going to close the tag. So we're going to give it an orientation of vertical. So what it means is anything that is going to be in this layout is going to go vertically. It's not going to go horizontal or anything. It's just going to go vertical. So that's what we want to do. And we have to give this a color. So we're going to say background, then we're going to give it a purple 500. So you see what will happen is that it's going to actually take the whole space, because since it's like in the same layout, the constraint layout, every view is in the constraint layout, everything is actually taking up space in the constraint layout. So since we gave this one a background color, it has actually taken the full space of the whole layout. So we don't want that. We only want to show that when we're actually transitioning. So what we want to do is we want to set the visibility. So we have 3 aspects. There's gone and invisible and then visible. So what we want to do is we want to check the gone type. So what will happen is that the view is going to actually be gone, and it's going to stick to one end of the parent view, right? So we're done with that. So we're going to give IDs to the text and the linear layout. So this text, we're going to give it an ID of, say, minimize text, right? Minimize text. So you actually see it's like giving us an error. That's because the ID wasn't fully functional. So we have to redo this ID. Now it's actually functional. So what we want to do is we want to actually delete the marks so that it actually stabilizes. So we have ID minimize text. That is the first text view. Then we have to go to the next text. Click. Then ID. Then this one is going to be double tap text, right? So we have given the IDs to these respective views, right? This linear layout, we're going to give it ID visible. Let's call it transition layout, right? So we're done with the layout and we're done with the text as well, right? So what we want to do next is have those 3 circles and the text in the center. Then after that, we're done with the video, right? So what we want to do is we want to go down here. We're going to click card view. Then the card view is like a card, and it's going to be a square at first, but actually after we do some amendments, coupling, it's going to actually change to become sort of a circle, right? So what we want to do is we're going to actually configure this in our own context, right? So we're going to give it custom values. We're not going to say match parent or wrap content. We're going to give it actual values. So it's going to be 200 dp for the width, so you can actually see how it has extended, and we're going to give it 200 dp for the height as well, right? So it's going to extend in that manner, right? So what we want to do is we want to actually get this gone as well. So we're going to set to visibility gone, like the previous function that we did, so you can actually see it's gone, right? Then you can actually see we have the card view in red. We'll deal with that. But this time around, I'm not going to close the tag. I'm going to give it like that, right? So that I did that with shift and some tag here. This one, just forgot the naming, but yeah, I used that one where you hold shift and then click that one, right? So we're going to proceed, and since we're nesting this, right, what we want to do is we want to make this card view circular, right? So we're going to give it what we call the card corner radius. So it's going to actually give us a radius to the respective card view. So I'm going to say card corner radius, and then we're going to give the corner radius, the value of this. It's going to be half the width and height values, right? So the width was 200 and the height was 200, right? So we're going to take 200 and divide it by 2. That's going to give us 100, right? So when I say 100 dB, you actually see it's now a full blown circle, right? So that's an interesting part about that. So what we want to do is we want to put this at the center. So we're going to constrain it to the left, to the right, to the top, and to the bottom of the whole parent view, right? So it's going to be constraint start of parent, constraint end of parent, and constraint bottom, parent, and then constraint top of parent, right? So it's now centered. You can actually see that, right? It's actually in the center of the view, right? Right there. So what we want to do is we actually want to give color to this card view, right? So we're going to say it's a different story. We can say background, say purple 500. It won't make any changes, right? So what we want to do is we want to actually use the specified functionality for the card views. So it's going to be card background, it's going to be card background color, and we're going to say purple 500. So it's going to give color to that respective circle, card view rather, right? So we have this first card view. So since we're actually nesting card views, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create another card view within the same card. So we're going to actually make this smaller than the parent card. So it's going to be 150 dp for the width, and for the height as well, 150 dp. And you can actually see it's there, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to give it half the value of both. So we're going to say card corner radius. This is going to be 75 dp. That's the half of 150. Then we're going to give it the color, right? Card background color. So we're going to give this the purple 200 color, right? So these are like default colors within Android Studio default, right? You can actually create your own color scheme if you want. You can create a color palette and then design on that. So we're going to select color purple 200. So you can actually see now the shading is actually changing. So what we want to do is we want to put this in the center. So the card view has a functionality which is the layout gravity. So anything within the card view, even if you didn't actually put views that are coordinated, like the leading layout or constraint layout, that actually allow you flexibility as well as the relative layout, the card view can just allow you some gravity of the views that are nested within it. So what we want to do is we want to actually say layout gravity on this, and then we're going to say center. So this card view is going to go to the center of the main card view, right? So we're going to close the tag of this, since it's not going to nest anything. It's going to actually nest the other card view. I was actually lost. I was like, where's the other card view going to go into, right? So we're going to put another card view within this card view, and then we're going to make this even smaller than the two, right? So this is going to be 120 dp, and then the next is also going to be 120 dp, right? So this one we're going to close it. This is the final one, right? So we want to give the card the color of this one, right? So it's going to be card background color. Then it's going to be purple 700 because that's the one that we haven't used since we started with this, right? And we're going to give it the gravity. So it's going to be layout gravity center, like we used in the previous activities. But it's still a square. So what we want to do is we want to make it a circle. So we're going to do card corner radius, and then this is going to be 60 dp, right? So that's like the circle type. So you can actually see now we're actually approaching the final layout that we had. So you have the first circle here, second circle here, third circle here, right? So I like designing with this part, like the XML tag. You could actually change how you want to design by going to the design structure, and you could actually pick from here. You could say button, so you could actually just transfer it and put it there. The recycler, you just put it there, and then you'd actually give it attributes. But I prefer this the coded type. Gives me more freedom, right? So that's 120 dp, that's 120 dp, that's 60 dp. Now what we're actually remaining with is the text view that said HouseZika, right? So we're going to minimize this and minimize this as well, and then we're going to call the text view, right? So tag text view. Now this is going to be wrapped as well, wrap content. I'm going to close the tag because it's not going to nest anything, and I'm going to center it. So it's going to be constraint and parent constraint start, parent, constraint bottom, parent, and constraint top, constraint top, parent, right? So it's going to be centered. So we're going to give this a text sizing of 50 SP because we actually want it to be visible. Text size 50 SP, right? So it's actually that big. So what we want to do is we actually want to write a text. So we're going to say text HouseZika, right? So you can actually see it's actually in the background. We have to give it a color. So it's going to be text color white. So that's the color of the text view, right? Now, interestingly, it's in the back. We don't want that. We actually want that to be in the front, right? Now, if we actually picked a lower minimum SDK, right? Say maybe 16, we would have an error with SDK issues. So we wouldn't actually give the functionality that we want to actually give right now, right? So we have to write a specified code within the main activity, something like, yo, when the SDK is like this, do this. When the SDK is this, do that, right? So since we started with 21, so that is like comfortably, we can do that comfortably without any problems. So what we want to do is we want to give the elevation to the text. So we're going to elevate the text from where it is, and then it's going to come like to the front of the screen. So it's saying we're going to say elevation, then we're going to give this 10 dp. So now you can actually see the text is like in front of the three cards, right? So we can actually give this say bold text styling, bold, right? Just to keep it more stable with what we actually did with the overview. So now you can actually see we have the whole design right here, whole design structure. I'm going to tag that, minimize that a little bit so that you guys actually see what I'm trying to get to. So you actually see we have this final layout here, right? So you have HouseZika, you have the three cards, so you have the text there that says double tap screen to start. So that's it. Thank you guys for your time. As I already say, have a good day if it's day that side, have a good afternoon if it's afternoon, and have a good evening if it's evening. If you like the video, make sure you drop a like, and if you're interested in still going with us, make sure you do drop the subscribe button. Guys, appreciate your time. Thank you.